Good morning, everyone. So yesterday was call it semi-impressive. Gave it up quite a bit by the end of the day. And well, I'll go to the other indices, but to discuss this was a pretty good, decent sized green bar. I'm talking about that bar right there yesterday. We're looking at the futures, and one of the things to have taken note of was that while this was we were anticipating that exactly what happened would happen, meaning it would go down and it would go for a gap fill, and it rallied nicely beyond the gap fill yesterday. It actually, when we get to look at SPY, SPX, see it just came up to resistance before sellers took control. But one of the things to have taken note of yesterday was that at some point we're going to get an update like that. I pointed out to Dan, I said, Dan, while it's a big, decent sized bar, look at the AD line. It's a barely positive. It was like a 5 at the time. I said, this isn't the makings of a turnaround day. Usually you're going to see it like 1,500, 2,000, some number, something like that. Now, that doesn't mean that it couldn't have held its ground up on the day, but it started the beginnings of the turn with big down tick readings on the NYSE tick. And that is something that intraday traders need to keep an eye on. So and you can see here, I switched to this intraday screen. As it made the turn and eventually, it started to go up. You can see the 5-minute, the retest pattern and such. And then when you get this wide range bar right into resistance, right into the prior high, it's like, okay, they're buying this thing with a vengeance. Like, they missed it and they got to get in now. And you get a big uptick reading. Actually, the second uptick reading at the time is like, okay, it's cooked, it's done. It doesn't mean it's going to fall all the way back, but it's just a mess. If you miss the move, it isn't the time to go long. That's 100% without a doubt. You just do not do that. And then as it started to tick down, started getting some, downtick readings. And at that point, it's just, all right, take note of it, profit taking, really not that big of a deal at that point. And then it, picked up a little bit more. And then as it began to roll over, you can see the upside shakeout, head and shoulders, top, whatever. And then it broke the pivots, the support, and it went down a bit. Right. So, buyers, took control, and sellers were like, okay, enough's enough. So it wasn't a potent turnaround day, as we would call it. But this AD line, at the time I was talking to Dan, I think it was like, I don't know, maybe around here or so, it was like barely positive. And then by the end of the day, it was a big negative number. So now, can it get itself turned around today? We all see it's down near support. Yesterday, we spoke about a greater than 100% retracement and looking for a turnaround day based on that concept. In addition to that, it was like, okay, it should form a continuation pattern down. It depends on how far it can retrace, of course, but we got this big, red, nasty weekly reversal bar. So it tried to make the turn here. It failed and reversed. So at this point, we're going to see how far it could go. It's a second chance today. Right now, you got a little inside bar going on here. And it's retesting these overnight highs here, and we'll see where it goes. So again, second try, it's down near support. It broke the prior low. Momentum typically stalls. And now if it can't rally much today, that's going to be like strike 2 in an attempt to at least retrace against this move lower. All right, so that's where that's at. Let's look at SPY. And we've got similar patterns pretty much wherever we look, right? Where downward move, prices came up into the unfilled gap area, declining 50 MA, and comes down near the prior low, breaks the low, you look for a turnaround day, and it couldn't hold on to the gain. It got back above the 200. Now it's back below the 200. Where is it now? Well, right at the 200, give or take. You see the hourly chart, it couldn't get through this resistance, right? So when it came up there, it was basically a technical bounce and a reaction to interest rates coming down yesterday. So the stars were aligned, so to speak, as for the market to at least have a reprieve, retracement after that down move with interest rates coming down, which was a relief for equities, and it went up to resistance and it couldn't hold on to the gain. So now back up here on the hourly chart, the question is, can it get through this level here, give or take? So 424, 424, a little bit more. You see where it's at. And so if it can hold on to this, it's going to gap up. And based on, just thinking about what traders are going to do, the psychology of the trading, those that maybe hung on yesterday would have an opportunity to sell. So we'll see if it'll come back in again. Now realize this is what we would call an inside gap. It's not gapping above the high of a bar or below a bar, creating a gap on the daily chart. It's an inside gap, but it will look like, of course, a gap on the day chart. And you see it's gapping up to these pivot highs up here on this chart right there, the day chart. So it's going to gap up into resistance. So now what you want to look for, say in the first 20 minutes or what have you, if it can jiggle around up here, right, supply, resistance, if it can jiggle around up there, and there's a concept that we call absorbing supply. Buyers are there, it's at resistance, sellers, and they're like, okay, give us whatever you got. And then maybe it's got a shot to get above that resistance area. If they can't get above here today, things are going to look pretty shaky. Well, for the buyers anyway, to be down this much and it can't go up. So keep an eye on that. Okay, so this is near the top of this bar. Let's go to SPX. Where is it? Where is it at? And so right around there at this resistance. And if it can get above here, there's a void up to here. So it's got to get through these highs, of course. Can it get up here? Well, if it can hold on to it, I think it would be a stretch. The average ranges have been about 60 points, 63 or so, right? 63, 64, big bars coming down. So a stretch to get up here. Now, it's opening here. Can it get down here today? I don't think so. I mean, there's some news coming out at, I don't know even how important, S&P Global Composite PMI Flash. I don't know how important that is. The consensus is 49.5. Okay, Alex is confirming it's important. So revise surpassing preliminary estimate, exceeding, I'm reading what it says. 5th consecutive month of contraction in the sector's health. All right, so although inflation remained historic low, below levels. So I guess a weak number is what they would want to feel good again about the Fed not raising rates again. So the previous number was 49.8. The consensus is 49.5. And that's what they're looking for, just so you know. That's manufacturing. The composite SPM Flash, they don't even have it. The forecast is 49.8. So they're looking for a pretty decent drop from 50.2. So keep an eye. That's coming out at 9:45. So trading is going to start and that number is going to hit. So be aware of that. How much it's a mover. But this put strike down here, let me just check it. It was at 41.20. 20 earlier, the strike to use, and it came up as the markets moved up a little bit more. So if the market should sell off, check that 41.20, but it is in an area of support, significant support, and prices would have to break down below yesterday's low, clearly. And just backing that up. You know what? Let me just turn this to a 180-minute chart, just so we can look to the left with some clarity. And so there is a little congestion right there. Well, I guess it's that bar. It's so far over to the left, I think it would be meaningless, but intraday traders would be aware. So you do have a little support. There's a void down below here, and 4,200, as I mentioned yesterday, is going to be an important level. And see it poke down to it, and it came right back up, right up again. So if SPX is back down to that 4,200 level and it starts basing, starts inching lower, I think that could open up the doors to moving lower, but I don't think it's going to go that lower. So these arrows are lined up near yesterday's close, average range about 64 points. And that would be a big move, and you're beyond that for the call or the put side. All right. You see the NASDAQ, same story, down here, break the lows, pop back up again. Technical bounce so far. And we'll see how far it goes. You got a stabilization day yesterday. And the Dow, pretty much same story. Vertical move down, a big power move to the downside. So far, just, technical stabilization. I'll just point out again, this big nasty red bar on the weekly time frame suggesting it's going to go lower. We'll see where things go today. The Russell continuing its move down. Just look at the ETF, get a perspective as to where things are at here. Maybe they need to get all the way down near those prior pivot lows, or maybe break them a little bit. But you can see how this is moving. It looks more like a move to exhaustion. It started all the way up here, and let's just see percentage-wise what that is. How much is that down already? Where might go? That's percent. Wow, almost 20% down. So not that this was ever out of a bear market. Maybe it was called as such as it rallied up there. I don't recall what they were saying, but back here, let's just see. When was it? Yeah, so on 6/10 of this year, right? 6/10 of this year. Where's 6/10? This is where the talking head said officially the bear market is over and the start of a new bull market. So we're just looking at the transports there, but if we look at SPY or SPX, and 6/10 lines up right here at the end of the bear market. And now we're back down below that level. I don't know if they still consider this is still a bull market, but it's certainly in question. There's no doubt of that. All right. And if you look at all the sectors that are in downtrends, I don't know what the hell kind of bull market that is. Things don't look so good here. Interest rates are up a little bit. After the reversal day, it's still in a strong uptrend. Remember, strong uptrends, when you see a red bar, okay, maybe it's the start. Momentum slowed at 5%, but how deep will the retracement be, or will it turn out to be a red bar ignored? So I wouldn't assume at this point that that's the top. We got to see, and this is starting to bottom here. By the way, Myron is pointing out the what's happening in the dollar. So the dollar is up here a little bit. You can see the dots here gapping up to the top of that red bar. So it's surprising that with interest rates and the dollar up a little bit, that the markets are holding here for now. So technically, you know, the intermarket analysis part, typically it would have, the markets would be down. So, but the euro's coming down. You could see the pound is down, Canada's down, Australia's up a little bit. So dollar moving up, interest rates moving up, typically the market would move down. Had the transports up before. They look like they got to get down here to 14,000 or lower. But you know, down a bunch of days in a row, should stabilize a little bit before moving lower again, getting to that destination. Bitcoin, I don't know. And if there's news, but something lit a fire under that thing and it exploded higher. Unreal in such a short amount of time. But that is an amazing move in a short amount of time, finally coming out of this congestion area and moving up. So oil's not doing much of anything, so nothing happening there. Just flip-flopping around. And that's it. We'll see what today brings. We got the levels to keep an eye on, and we'll see whether the markets can make any kind of meaningful move to the upside in light of some little bit of a strength in the dollar and interest rates. And, well, you got the level to see whether it's just going to jiggle around here, or whether it can get through here or not. Things are coming back down here a little bit. So as I see that, keep in mind that these strikes are fluid. So that 35, see now you can go back down to 20. You got to keep an eye on these. You know, so they move a lot. So the further you can get away, it becomes a no-brainer. So, you know, less likely it's going to get up here. So all yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, you forgot to say get away from the danger zone.
Well, these things have been pretty far away from the what would be the danger zone, but yeah.
All right, bunch of earnings. Yeah, Bitcoin's on fire. It's just crazy enthusiasm over them getting an ETF. You know, just crazy sentiment going on. Let's see. I didn't know this little Wigme. Wigme is a Bitcoin miners ETF. I didn't know that, so I'm going to add that to my watch. But that's a gap from a bottoming pattern. Riot, I got my three usual suspects: Riot, Mara, Hut. Those are Bitcoin miners. Mr. We had a beautiful put spread on that, and I kept this as a directional watch. I was hoping to get a 1, 2, 3, but look, that's just short-term ridiculous gap, in my opinion, even though it is from a bottoming pattern. Coin, we also we were trying to get a put spread yesterday. We did not get filled, but I'll keep an eye on this for a new put spread opportunity. We bought Ether though yesterday, and look, now it's gapping up to 1360. I said, well, I can't even see it on this chart, but look where the 20 MA is. The 1360 is way the heck off my chart here. So that's a short-term exhaustion gap. So I just sent an alert saying sell half pre-market, keep a tight leash on it, and we'll try to squeeze a little bit more out of it. And then I'll watch it on a pullback. The weekly monthly still look good, but I don't feel like sitting through an unexpected pullback. Let's go to this NEP we've been in for a while. It's gapping up. So finally, it's been a dead money here, but finally getting bullish gap here, so that's a good sign. Let me go to earnings now. There's a bunch of them. Cliff 1485, and you know what I'm going to do is just, as I do every morning, I'm going to delete the ones that I just like that, you know, don't want to waste my breath watching. Tell you the tier ones that I like, and then I'll tell you the ones like, oh, I got to come back to you at 10 o'clock. So HLX down a little bit at a prior low, bearish weekly, no interest. Cade 2150, that's a bullish gap, deep in the resistance, 30-minute high, possible put spread. Bro up a little bit, but I don't like that it came down too hard. And we have no shortage of bullish setup. So even though I say something might go higher, if it's not quality, I'm just going to delete you like this. CCK, it's a nasty downtrend. CDNS. Now this one we talked about possibly selling the 210 puts yesterday into earnings. It's gapping under yesterday's low, but there's still support over here. So I put that on the middle chart here. I'll watch it. Logi, remember I said yesterday in the green room, I said if this gaps up to $72 area, look at the weekly month. Look at that monthly. You have 3 months here in the upper third of this igniting breakout bar with a void, but the gap's too big now. For me, you know, you can watch it on a pullback, but I got enough stuff to watch. Craft 30-minute high, possibly balance as a Climo. But there's better Climos out there like Tesla. Tesla's not earnings, but oh shoot, it's Tesla. Oh man, I posted Tesla. No, it's not earnings. Okay, my bad. We have other things. All right, so this is a Climo with a bottoming tail gapping up. So this one, if it can take out the 30-minute high, then that's a put spread I like. Yeah, Thomas, I mentioned coin. I mean, we got to be careful on all shorts, but we have a call spread on this already, Thomas. We entered yesterday, so it looks great. You know, I can't tell where the gap is with the broader market. But yeah, it does look lower. Package here looks like it's gapping down a little bit. It looks like a magnet to the 200, so I'll leave it on my list for that purpose. And then possibly, you know, reversal put spread idea. You know, gapping here to 40. I mean, it might bounce, but that's bearish all time frames. I'm going to delete you. Hexel. Looks, you know, not much volume, but I see a few prints here at 61. We'll come back to you. Byron, you're buying calls on TBT. It's definitely not a swing pattern. I mean, it's extended. You got a nasty outside bar reversal. Look at the distance from the 20, 50, 200. If we were to take the candlesticks off and I asked you to analyze this, I mean, my first answer would be the thing's extended. Strong uptrend, but extended. So I don't know, setup's not my style. All right, mid P, gap to 249, gap in resistance on a pullback. All right, we'll talk about it later. Byron, I got a ton of stuff to go through. I said yesterday this thing's in a death trend, daily, weekly, monthly, AAN. Look, all time frames are bearish as can be, and now it's gapping down, no interest in bottom fishing or trying to get short. This one's down a lot, gapping down. It's bearish all time frames again. I'm not interested in bottom fishing. CR, I don't see any prints. We'll come back to you. Coke 55.70 bullish gap, put spread idea, maybe 30-minute high day trade. NVS is an ADR, it's just slopping around. I'm gonna delete you. We actually said yesterday though that would have been a good condor. Selling the 100s and the 90s, and there was just no premium though. DHR, it's bearish all time frame. We'll come back to you. Verizon, nice gap. I have these beaten down cell phone companies. I was looking to sell puts on, but there was no juice in the 30s. Now it's up too much, no interest. GE down a lot. I was considering a put spread, but there was inadequate juice. Gap in mid-range, no interest now. Oh, Barclays getting whacked. Bearish all time frames. RTX I like as a put spread. It's a gap breakout over this red bar. Let me put that in another window. That looks great. Well, I got a spot on the other computer. Let me put RTX here. So I posted that as a put spread already. A knee. This one I was watching. I didn't know it had earnings, but I was watching this for a retest. And then that would be a beautiful W bottom. But gap and resistance, nothing to do here. Jerry asking about the video here. Let me look. Yeah, we have a put spread on NVIDIA that we did yesterday. But you're asking me, would you consider yesterday's bar for NVIDIA buy? Absolutely, for a partial bounce. It's a range bound. You know, some people, Greg, what's that guy's name on MT Live? He used to be in here and he's always like, why don't you guys buy on support? I'm like, we do all the time. What are you talking about? So this, but we need a potent reversal on support. So yes, and look at the intraday. I mean, that was bullish 15-minute, bullish daily. So you're chasing a little bit. It's up a lot. I would have said yesterday, 30-minute high, you could have entered. But now it's given up the gap, so it's a little bit weaker than the Qs, Jerry. But it ideally you'll get a 1, 2, 3 to let it rest, and then we'll have a better idea of how the market's going to close today. And if it continues higher, then absolutely. I think you got 2 unfilled gaps here that are logical targets. RTX Air Defense Company move. And then he wants to look at true TRU. Yeah, I call this one just, it's not what we call a true gap and snap, because it's gapping from this mess, but it's a big old gap, Jerry. So I have a category called big old gaps, and you just put it in a 5-minute thumbnail and see what it does. And that would, I don't have an opinion right now, but just put it in a window and see what happens. All right, ALHC was a buy setup from yesterday. It's gapping over the high. So let's hold off for a pullback. The tick is flying here at 1300, so that's positive. But so far so good for the bulls. Some deep retracement going sideways. If we're able to close near yesterday's high or higher, then I have a full bullish bias for continued bounce. First logical target 20 MA. Look at our Holex. We shorted a half lot yesterday and my down alarm went off. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign for relative weakness. Fantastic. All right, let me put Holix in a window. Oh, we on the video low alarm. Okay. I mean, we have a put spread, so we're fine. All right, Ether, we sold half pre-market. You know what? Let's move stop 5-minute low before I said 30-minute low. I don't even feel like giving up that much gain. ALXC Ether. And I'm just going to give a target here for the back half, 1395. Then that could be like one final little push if we get it. ELF up alarm. We did a put spread yesterday. Ah, shoot, I meant 5-minute low. I didn't change it. Yeah, Nike was on our list yesterday. Look at this. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Diamond's flying here the most. Look at this CDNS middle chart. I said this was the one we were contemplating, the 310 puts.